good afternoon. Welcome to the hotel business stage. It's my pleasure to welcome you and also to introduce to you our speaker for this afternoon. It's Tymen van Dyl. He's CEO of RoomRaccoon, who's going to stage a presentation on how to improve hotel business performance in 2023 with automation. Tymen has a true passion for technology, and RoomRaccoon is on a mission to empower independent hoteliers with the world's fastest growing and complete hotel management system. Please give it up for Tymen.
Thank you. Far too kind. I'm not alone today. I brought my friend. He doesn't have a name yet, but one of you can give him a name later on. Where are we? There we are. We're going to talk a little bit. It's a masterclass. I'm not going to, teach you or define how you should run your hotels, but I'd like to share a little bit of our experiences with, running your hotel on autopilot. And before we actually go to more in depth, I'd like to free up my hands. Little icebreaker question. How many hotels are there in the Netherlands? And I consider, basically, just for the sake of simplicity of this question, any property, any accommodation in the Netherlands that advertises on booking.com with at least 5 rooms as a hotel. Who wants to give it a shot? Winner, closest match, gets a raccoon. And also at our booth just behind here, you can then collect a really nice present. In addition to the raccoon. And it's really soft and fluffy, guys. You want to win this. How many hotels in the Netherlands? 3,000, 7,000, 5,000, 10,000, 12,000, 19,000. Who bids more? Who bids less? 800. I need a closer one. It's less than 10,000, much less. 5,700? No. 4,000. It is 4,000. I'm a really bad thrower, so please help me catch it. There we go. Congrats. Like almost round 4,000. Well, at least you learned one thing now already. Moving on to the concept of autopilot. The autopilot, we know it from airplanes, these days also from cars. Should you run your hotel on autopilot? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What are your thoughts? Who likes to comment on that? If you consider running a hotel on autopilot a threat or an opportunity? To either you as a hotelier, towards the guest experience. What do you think? Opportunity? Yeah, so the threat or opportunity may be dependent on where in the hotel it is applied or where in the operation. Let's maybe help you a little bit. I took this is Wikipedia's definition of what is an autopilot. It is a system used to control something without requiring constant manual control by a human operator. And then I made this in bold. Autopilots do not replace human operators, right? It is about the synergy. It's about automating what is value adding to automate, but keep the human always in the picture, right? And that is very much the case, especially in hospitality, because hospitality is a human business. And that's why I really like this topic of man versus machine in hospitality. So, yeah, asking the question maybe again to elaborate. Hotel technology, like how does that affect guest experience? Does it improve the guest experience? Does it hurt the guest experience? What do you think? Improved? All agree that well, at least it can improve the guest experience. Just wanted to set the baseline here, but let me first introduce myself. So then, who is actually speaking to you. Well, was already kindly introduced by Sander, but maybe just by 3 facts about me, you can get to know me a little bit better before, well, we go in the rest of the masterclass. I wrote down here 3 facts about me. Well, actually 2 is a fact and 1 is a lie, just to be straight up. And I want you to, I want to see your hands for the one that you think is a lie. I was an independent hotelier. No hands, so that's correct. I landed an airplane. Also no hand. Oh, 1 hand. More hands. Okay. And I ran a marathon. The most hands. Thanks, guys. Okay, so the first one is actually a lie, guys. I just want to be honest with you. I was not a hotelier myself. I'm speaking here from the angle of a techie. I have a tech background, I've been a tech entrepreneur for 20 years. Founded RoomRaccoon together with a hotelier. So that's where kind of our worlds merged. We can, yeah, we'll come to the stand later on and I tell you the story about landing an airplane. 3 facts about RoomRaccoon. These are all facts. These are not lies. We are in business since 6 years now. We processed 6 million bookings. Meanwhile, we upsold 600,000 euro additional revenue towards for our hotels with our tool. And meanwhile, we were awarded, well, some recognition here and there. RoomRaccoon is an all-in-one hotel management system. So it is a property management system on steroids, basically. It does much more. It includes all of this. I'm not going to go too much in detail. If you want to know more about, well, if you want to know everything or more about RoomRaccoon, our stand is there. This is a masterclass, not a RoomRaccoon demo. But because I find it important to know who we are, at least, we're with 100 raccoons. This is us just 2 months ago somewhere in the world. Who can tell me where this was or is? I think the mountain on the back gives it away. Cape Town, South Africa. This is where we took all of our team because we have employees all over the world. And also, like ourselves, we really believe in, well, bringing people together, right? So this was our anniversary trip. And we serve 1,800 hotels across the world, predominantly in Europe. And all of that on our way to become, as Sander announced, the #1 hotel management system in the world. We are hoteliers ourselves. Well, most of us, many of us in RoomRaccoon, serving hoteliers and promising more revenue, more guest experience for less costs. This is what we all want, right? Challenge accepted. I'm going to share a little bit of our data with you. With all of these bookings and all of these hotels on board, we have quite a unique angle on what's happening, right, in hotels. So it might be relevant for you to actually understand a little bit what's going on around your own hotels. First of all, booking channels. This was all of the bookings that we processed last year. Mind that we work for hotels with, on average, about between 10 and 100 rooms. That is our client base. That is the hotels that choose RoomRaccoon. So that is our data. And as you can see, last year, if you look at the OTAs, don't hope there's anybody from Expedia sitting here. Again, this is our angle, our hotels, but it's not very popular. It is basically, there is almost only Booking.com. They are absolute legends in the Benelux towards our properties. There's a lot of direct bookings going on. That is a combination of offline, online, booking engine bookings, everything that is direct. Then Expedia has a market share of 1.7%. Google Hotels, more or less the same. Who of you uses Google Hotels? Google Hotel ads, direct bookings for Google. Great. If you're not using it yet, definitely use it. It's fastly growing, and well, it's generally much lower cost than your Booking.com bookings. Some other trends that we have identified last year. Huge appetite for travel, right? I mean, we obviously came from a time where, well, there maybe, well, was not so much appetite and not so much possibilities to travel during the pandemic. Huge rebound last year, which actually mainly I found interesting to observe, because at the same time there was like huge inflation, which we would assume, and many, I think, analysts assumed that would greatly restrict budgets that, well, travelers would be able, well, would be willing to spend on, well, on traveling during last year. However, it seems, first things first, travelers seem to be, well, cutting their grocery bills and maybe turning their heating a little bit lower, but they have not stopped traveling at all. They have even seemed to be traveling more. Priorities, which is good for our industry. Staff shortages as well. Everybody running in a hotel or a hospitality business has gone through that. Ourselves as well. Staff shortages, struggle is real. But the combination of those, what we observed, is that that really accelerates adoption of technology in hotels, right? Because there's more travelers to serve, to pamper, to meet their expectations with less hands in your own hotel. So we saw that it didn't become like what used to what used to was, well, was a nice to have, now became a must have for hotels. That closes the loop, because that again, well, stipulates, I think, the importance of and the relevance of the ability to run your hotel on autopilot as much as possible. Obviously, you can't run everything on autopilot. You don't want to run everything on autopilot, because as the gentleman already said before or suggested, some things are just better to automate and to rely on machines doing certain tasks than others. We're dealing with humans, we're in hospitality, don't use the human touch. So let me just maybe go through that guest journey and highlight a couple of steps, a couple of touch points in that customer journey that we really deem super relevant, that I believe that all of you should be automating and should be running on autopilot. First of all, and this is a no-brainer, right? Everybody uses a channel manager or so to sync their rates, availability, reservations continuously with all of the booking channels. However, who of you also has some kind of dynamic pricing implemented in their rate structure? Couple of hands. Not a lot of hands. Who of you updates your room rates like less than once per week? It's okay, you can raise your hands if you do. There's like nothing wrong with it. Many hotels just have very static pricing. Like who of you then once per day? Something like that? Who of you like much more often, every hour of the day, continuously? No hands. Okay, interesting. Because, hey, everybody always wants to sell the room for the best price, right? And for the best price on that moment, for that room, on the best channel for that moment, and, well, you need to do that on autopilot. Because what defines the best price? Like what is the best price for your room? What do you take into account? Yeah. So how much availability you have left, how much room do you have left to sell, if there's events, what the competition is doing, if they're sold out, if they're increasing or decreasing their prices, because pricing is always relative to then, of course, your competition. But also, yeah, so it's basically supply and demand. That defines the probability that you sell your room. Let's call it room sell probability. But that room sell probability is fluid, right? That changes continuously. Because at any reservation that comes in with either your hotel or your competitor, that might change. Any time of the day that might change, because you continuously have less time to sell that room. So there's so much continuously happening. So this, like, room pricing, in my opinion, is the #1 thing that every hotel should run on autopilot. Because that is not a human task. Like, computers can do this way better, because your system already knows your occupancy, how much time there's left to sell the room, can load in the competitor rates or availability really easily. So it can continuously analyze all of that data. And every second of the day, if need be, if your room sell probability can suggest that a better price is available to sell your room for, either lower to increase occupancy or higher, well, because you can, and to make up for the discounts that you're giving on the other side, it's a no-brainer. Guest communication should be all running on autopilot, right? At least everything that you can predict. Every guest that's coming into your hotel wants to have a confirmation of their reservation. Don't send them manually, please. That's something like very predictable. You can once off write an amazing reservation confirmation and then have it sent out automatically with any reservation that comes in. Same thing for the pre-stay email. Like maybe a day in advance, send your guests an email. Hey, this is how the check-in works. This is how the parking works. All of that. Same thing for checking out. After the stay, for instance. Hey, thanks for staying with us. Did you enjoy your stay? Please click here to leave your review on TripAdvisor. Did you not enjoy your stay? Please don't leave the review, but contact us, because we like to make it right. And we like to understand how we can improve. And by the way, if you're coming back ever again to this town, then please use this discount code to book directly, which makes both you and me happy. Have that running continuously on autopilot. Don't ever send those mails manually. It is hoteliers, everybody in your hotel should have your hands free to pamper the guests, what a computer cannot do. Also specifically highlighted, like differentiate. Maybe per booking channel, if the guest already was with you before, hey Thomas, welcome back. You know, that's also hospitality. That is where autopilot, automation can really enhance that guest experience, because your system already knows that they have been saying before. They know better than any of your staff by head at that moment. And part of that pre-stay email, that email that is being sent out before your guests arrive, why don't you offer them an online check-in? Also just automating that process, right? And it's not for every guest, so it depends. Maybe well, in extent of that answer, maybe automation works best in some areas of your hotel, but it also just works best for some guests better than other. Younger guests maybe are more comfortable with using technology in their guest experience than typically the older generation, just more tech savvy people, right? But offer it. Let your guest make the choice to what extent they like to involve technology in their guest journey, whatever makes them happy, whatever works for them. Personally, I really like to be able to do an online check-in, also at the airport. I really like to just, I don't know, fill in my details before, when I'm at home, when it's a convenient time for me, or when I'm waiting somewhere anyway, and then just, I don't know, like scan my QR code and walk in. Same thing in a hotel. I would always do an online check-in. I'll typically do it at the airport if I'm flying somewhere. If the hotel offers an online check-in, I would, when I have my passport in my hand anyway, while I'm traveling, then I'll just scan it in the online check-in application from the hotel if they have one. So it just makes my guest journey more in my control, more on my terms, and for me, much more smoother and time efficient. Additionally, where the magic happens for a hotelier, so those that experience an online check-in as guest journey enhancing, it's a win for them. But it can be at the same time also a win for you as a hotelier, because you free up your front desk staff because they don't have to do that potentially lengthy check-in with scanning the ID and all of that. But it also automates the upsell possibility, the potential at that point. If I'm sitting there at that gate and I'm doing that online check-in for my destination, then maybe that is a great moment for me to really take some time and see, like, oh, actually, do I maybe want to book an extra breakfast, maybe even for a lower fee because I book it in advance? Do I want to book already that late checkout or that massage or anything that they offer me? We see that at this moment, there's a much bigger likelihood that the guest actually chooses for that upsell, for that extra service that you might add, than being asked on the spot at the front desk, for instance. So this just, it's guest experience enhancing and it's revenue increasing for the hotelier. Same thing for room upgrades, for instance. Offer them a room upgrade. If a day before the guest actually arrives, you ask them, hey, do you maybe, for a very attractive discount, want to upgrade your standard double that you have booked to your premium deluxe suite, more premium room? There's a good possibility then that guest then at that moment decides, like, hey, let's do it. Again, guests, and they will have an increased guest experience. There's more revenue coming from that same guest because they're staying in a more expensive room with the same cost price for you, probably more or less. But the real magic happens is that at that moment frees up your standard double to be sold, and you still have a day to sell it. Whereas if you only offer that upsell on the spot at actually check-in, then you have, well, if it's a later check-in, then you don't have any window anymore to sell that standard double, that cheaper room, which is much more likely for you to sell than that more expensive room. Autopilot, no-brainer. At the same time, you can do that ID capturing. So it's just a button, for instance, that just scans the ID and takes the pain out of data entry or waiting in the line. Payments, maybe there needs to be a prepayment done still, which would normally be part of your online check-in or of your front desk check-in. Offer that payment online. Everybody these days has kind of their, I don't know, Apple Pay or their payment method on their device, and especially the younger generation that is more comfortable with this technology would love to make that payment rather from their device than queuing up for it at the front desk potentially. Hey, and you got your money earlier as well. Nice plus. And then finally, especially if there's a prepayment involved, then you have a door lock system installed that can issue digital room keys, which is more and more the case as well. Then go ahead and issue that room key, whether it's a code or a QR code, or maybe like one of these links that this web app opens and they can press an open button. There's many of these fancy room lock systems if you want to know more on this exhibition today. Then let's move the guest journey to what happens during the stay. Restaurant integration. Restaurants, bars. This lady here doesn't look like she has a wallet on her, right? I mean, what about that magic, super hospitality-minded question? You'd like to charge it to the room rather than pay it on the spot. This lady will probably consume more when it's charged to the room automatically. It's guest experience enhancing. You remove that potential friction. So good revenue increasing, guest journey enhancing, and just make sure that always your POS that actually at this moment, processes this transaction, automatically sends this revenue to your PMS. Almost every POS or PMS in the world is able to do this, so make sure that you use it. You don't want to have anybody walking around with slips from the POS to the front desk. They will get lost. This will be messy. There will be questions about it during the checkout, like, hey, what's might be entered differently in the system at the checkout that is confusing. Next, who of you uses VCCs? Who of you doesn't know what a VCC is? Maybe better question first to ask. VCC is the Booking.com, Expedia, or Agoda virtual credit card that they issue to you as a hotelier if they already collected the payment on the moment of booking. Every VCC is loaded with a balance. With Expedia, it's already excluded the commission. With Booking.com, it's still including the commission. You'll pay it later. And with a date that VCC is being activated. From that date on, there's like 1 second to the other, it just opens up and it becomes chargeable. Do you want yourself or your front desk staff to always, every day, get a moment for yourself and go through all of these VCCs and charge them manually? Autopilot, top material. This is the stuff that everybody should be running on autopilot, in my opinion. It's just a computer can do this stuff way better than you. Again, your front desk staff should be there, should be available to the guests when they ever need you. Don't go do this tedious administrative tasks. Another plus of this, your money will be coming in sooner as well, right? The sooner you charge them, the sooner they will be paid out on your bank account. And then finally, and this is actually a scoop that I'm very excited about, just on this show today, we as a system launched this one, the online checkout. Very exciting for us. If you want to see how it works in RoomRaccoon, stand is available for the rest of the day. But here, why would you not, as part of that guest journey during the stay, a little bit before the guests normally would check out, preferably the night before, already invite them on their device, so through email or so, and ask them, hey, tomorrow morning is your checkout. This is how it works, just maybe as a reminder. It's a nice guest communication anyway. And then ask them, was there anything extra that you consumed from the minibar, but in case that you already know, because the F&B consumption was already posted by the POS towards your PMS. So there is already a known open balance. Maybe the city tax still needs to be covered. Maybe there's just a remaining amount that needs to be paid anyway, because it wasn't paid on check-in. That due amount, why don't you just allow your guests to pay it on their own device before they actually would go to the normal checkout procedure? Again, for that guest that really likes to pay with their own device, I am one of them. I can assure you every day there's more and more of them, of us. While again also accelerating your cash flow, because the money will be coming in sooner, enhancing your guest experience for the guests that are excited about it, and make your whole checkout process smoother. Less queuing, walk out, drop the key. See you next time. Who of you uses an online checkout like this already? Can you maybe, there's a mic here somewhere, right? I'm going to put you on the spot, sorry. How about your experience? Can you maybe share just for the rest to understand this, as you're the only one?
Yeah, well, we work with Muse, and with Muse you can automatically put that function on. So all our guests are receiving an email the night before. And we're a historical hotel with quite an elderly target group. So there's lots of people who don't even read the email or do anything with it. And sometimes in the morning I have people just handing in the key and saying, all right, goodbye and see you next time, where they've already done the online checkout. and they find it convenient because they have the invoice right away rather than do we still need to email it and type the email address or print it or anything like that. So they've got the administration on order.
Yep.
And they just find it convenient, so they just have the choice and they like it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, great to hear that your experience is exactly how it is intended, I think. So good for the rest, I think, to hear. If you don't use it yet, use it. Most of the systems like ours do offer online checkouts like this. Who has maybe some questions on, challenge me, on running your hotel on autopilot? Are there things that you struggle with? Are there considerations? Are there things that maybe are holding you back to automate? Let's get the mic.
Elderly guests,
Yeah.
they don't want to do online check-in?
Absolutely. And that is why I truly believe that you should offer always both. It is not a replacement for an online check-in or online checkout. Is an addition for the guests that really are up for it and are comfortable with it and consider it an added value rather than a pain. And hey, don't force your elderly guests to do an online check-in and then have them download an app that they can use to enter your room and do all of the payments on their device. No, that won't be good.
Experience it.
So yeah, I think we want the best of both worlds ultimately.
Yeah, how can you personalize it? It's all like there's lots of general options, like the general pre-registration or the general checkout. But what we do want to have the automation also personalized. But I find it difficult to say how much effort do we need to put in manually in order to get the automated personalization.
This is a very good question. I think ultimately personalization is a big part of hospitality in general, right? I think a personalized experience as a guest is a better experience generally. We do know quite a little bit of our guests, right? I mean, we know a lot of their details. We know, I mean, most basic personalization is referring to somebody as a sir or ma'am and their name. We often know if they are a returning guest. So I think you can adapt the way that you communicate to a returning guest very differently than an absolutely new guest. OTA bookings are a little bit more difficult in that regard because they often supply very limited information and it's very difficult to recognize if they're a returning guest if a booking comes in via an OTA, like booking.com. What are there specific areas where you would see opportunity or value in personalization?
What you want to do is both from hospitality point of view, but also from service point of view, is adjust to whoever is coming. So if I want to explain to my coming guests that we rent out bikes, it will be easier to do that for leisure guests than for my business guests.
Yeah.
But then I would need to know whether they're coming for leisure or for business, or whether they're elderly or young. Towards the elderly, I would maybe offer my electric bikes, as well to the younger ones, maybe the other bike. So there's services and hospitality. Also with tourist information, who do I want to give tourist information, who don't I want to give tourist information? And I simply don't know yet on how we can provide that. I mean, the returning guest is quite an obvious one, as long as we got the automation right. But lots of the other things are nearly lots of handwork in order to get it done.
Yeah, no, 100%. The more we know about the guests, the more we can personalize. And I think corporate booker, business booker, leisure booker, these are things that we often know. And we should probably definitely adjust our communication and our automation as much as possible on it. Dates, we almost never know. That's not information that is being requested typically at bookings. So yeah, let's use what we have to personalize that guest experience. We're out of time. Thanks a lot for all of your attention. Happy automating, happy autopiloting, and enjoy the show.